Hi, welcome everyone. This is another Talk Time series, are all about, I guess, building a business and what that involves in the way of the hypnotherapy career. Today, we're going to be talking about finding your niche and doing things that you feel passionate about. I've got Teresa Saunders joining me, so I hope that you're going to really enjoy this one. We're going to cover off a couple of things that might have been rattling around in your head and talk to those things. Hello,
Hi,
Teresa.
Meredith. Hi everybody.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm pretty good. Now, when we're kind of looking at the idea of niche, finding a niche market, probably those out there have kind of maybe come across that terminology before, but it's about specialising in something, isn't it?
Yes, yep. It's about, I guess, your passion and what you'd like to work, a narrower field of what you'd like to work in.
So if we do a bit of self-reflection and go, okay, well, what lights me up inside? What would be something that I would really like to do again and again and again, 1,000 sessions in a row, and I wouldn't get tired of it? So that's sometimes a bit of an interesting question, especially if you're just starting out, you're not really sure what your niche might be or what your passion is. But some of you might have actually come into this career or looking at this career because you have a specific audience that you want to connect to. So for those that do know, okay, I want to work with teenagers, or I want to work with young mothers, or I want to work with people entering into retirement and not knowing what they want to do next, or feeling that sort of sensation of change. So there's all sorts of different areas that we can specialize in. And there's pros and cons in a small market of doing that. When we're thinking about me, I'm going to just start there. I am very broad, but I do definitely specialize in some areas. And one of them might be addiction work, definitely. And the other one is anxiety. So they're the two niche areas that I tend to work with. I don't spend a lot of time promoting weight loss or some of my other services, but people definitely come in for other things like fear of flying and, general phobias and stuff. But it's certainly not what I'd call me pushing it out into the marketplace. What are your thoughts on that, Teresa?
Yeah, for sure. I think it is fantastic to have those niches, and then you learn. If you're passionate about something, then you're actually going to be giving that energy to your client. If you're very bored and say, for example, you don't like dealing with weight loss or smoking, then if you actually got people coming into you for doing that, you're not going to be giving. You're not going to be investing your energy into that session as much as something that you're passionate about. So I think that's something to question yourself and ask yourself as a therapist of, what is my niche? What do I love? What am I actually giving to my clients for value as well?
I think I want to make a point here that it's not about turning away a client that isn't your ideal client just because you don't like working on that topic, because I think no one can afford to just kind of gift away potential earning power, okay? So it may not be your everyday client that you're wanting to attract, but you certainly want to be prepared to be able to deal with a person who wants to quit smoking. Even if you've never been a smoker, can't relate, any of that, you've still got a really amazing toolkit that can be of assistance to that particular client seeking help.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to get to is don't focus a niche that you think, okay, there's always going to be a market for weight loss because people are always going to be looking at their ideal weight. If you don't enjoy working in that field, then that probably isn't your best niche. You want to be doing what you love doing every day. You don't want to be bored with it. So the odd client coming in for weight loss is great, but yeah, don't focus on that if that's not what your cup of tea, I guess what I was going to say.
One of the things I've noticed in my career is I light up when I have someone who's an entrepreneur who wants to sort of go on a journey of discovery and really up their game. And my goodness, I come to life. There's a part of me that really likes the brainstorming element and the supporting of that client to really get into the good head state, that yes set, yes, I can do this. Yes, I've got this. And looking at maybe some of the blocks that they might have, and it could be a financial ceiling that they've put on themselves. They think, oh, I could never probably be a multi-millionaire or billionaire. Why? Why not? Why not you? If other people can do it, why not you? Where is that coming from? So I get really excited because that can be quite a layered, juicy journey that people are broadcasting and getting into what's their story, what's going on really here. Quite often it's more broad than just the niche. So it's like, how do I enjoy unpacking that client and working with that client? And it may be the niche brings that kind of client to you, but how you're working within that genre as well will be something that will be unique to you. So the way that I unpack someone versus you, Teresa, you'll have different questions, different methods of supporting that client, because we're all a little bit different as therapists, aren't we?
That's for sure. Yeah, we all go through training. We do our diploma. We run basically, no matter what schools we go to, we have similar foundations. If you're working to a diploma, but when you come away, you'll actually work with that in that field slightly different to somebody else within your class or your mentor. You put your own sort of seal onto it.
So if we think about some areas of specialising, think about your knowledge base. Maybe you've got a personal experience in that, and that's going to really light you up because you understand. You get it on the empathetic level. You've journeyed through it maybe yourself, and you've got to the other side, and you have that success story in your own heart and your own mind.
The other thing I'd say is if you're just starting out, then don't worry if you don't know what your niche is. Do a brainstorm on yourself and sort of think, okay, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What am I happy and be passionate about learning more about? And you can then make your niche, tailor your niche that way. It doesn't have to always be knowledge that you necessarily know at this moment in time.
Maybe you're a sports person and you really enjoyed being involved in all kinds of sports, and you've got a bit long in the tooth and you don't maybe do as much anymore, but the feeling of getting up there and wanting to be the best, or kind of leading the pack in the cross country or something like that. So that winner's mindset in the way of sports performance, that's something that if you are a keen sports fanatic, you might do really well with working alongside athletes. So that could be something that just naturally falls to you because you've also had that understanding of keying in and going, yeah, I know that feeling of winning, or I know that feeling of loss as well, like I didn't quite get there, and that frustration that might bring. So if you've journeyed that may be a particular niche that could be of interest to you. Equally, there could be that sort of parenting journey that you've gone through as well. I know for me, my practice has evolved in my interest in helping parents journey the stresses of parenting. And if you haven't been a parent, you might not relate so much.
Yeah. So it's looking not just as your passions, I guess what you're saying is also look at your life's journey, and there'll be areas there that you can specialize in as well, because you've lived through it, you've been through it, so you can understand some of that journey as well, which can be useful when you're working through with your client.
And I think the client energetically understands you relate to them. Even if you don't share any of your story, the way that you are listening, the way that you get it as you are journeying them, supporting them through whatever it is, will give them an indication that it's your flavor, that they're with the right person. And this is going to be really helpful. I think that if you're coming from a place of you don't maybe always understand, we can imagine as if we're in that person's position. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with you not having much knowledge around what they are wanting to work with, because remember, the client has the answer, right?
That's right. It's just about finding that niche and tailoring into that so that you can specialize, which will draw clients. But do be really careful that it's not too narrow a niche as well, and be open to having other clients with different challenges in their life coming up to you as well.
So the downside of having a really narrow niche, it would be burnout. You know, if I think back to the time where I was working at the Quit Line, and I was, had my lots of people I had to call and check in and talk about it and prepare them. It was like the same thing over and over and over again. Even though they were different people, the topic was too narrow a band, and I went into autopilot. And to be fair, when I went back into my private practice as a hypnotherapist, the last client I really wanted to come through that door was a smoking. I'd had enough of it for a bit. I do love them now. So if you are one of those out there, I'm all good. In fact, I quite enjoy it, but I didn't want to continue doing that at that pace all the time. So I really did sort of move into more anxiety-centered work rather than addiction frameworks at that point in my career. So burnout is real, like if you're seeing the same old thing. Now, we're also talking about things like topic. So if you're dealing with trauma again and again and again, let's talk about that as a niche especially because that in itself can be a bit of a heavy task. So if you're new as a therapist and you're not used to just parking that client when they leave and not entertaining it again and again in your mind, that might be quite heavy work for you. What are your thoughts?
For sure. And I mean, you've got to look at your own well-being as well as wanting to help people. And if you are somebody that does take on other people's challenges and circumstances and can't let it go, then maybe you need to do, for your own well-being, look at a different niche. But if you are working in something heavy like trauma and that, then I really do believe firmly that you should have supervision and regular supervision to offload that and find other ways in between.
And it may be more than just monthly supervision, let's be real. If you've got a busy practice and you've got a ton of clients coming in with some really heavy duty stuff and you're wading through it, you don't want to get to that point where you're just blocking everything. You do need a safe space often to just unload, to notice your boundaries, to do all of those things so you're safe and you're doing the best by keeping yourself safe for your client's sake as well.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, that can be talking with your supervisor, but also having space for yourself where you might take time out to do meditation or go for a walk or do something that will allow you to let go and release some of that, I guess, trauma that you've listened through. Let it go, because working with trauma can be very challenging. You can often, even, the best of us, we can take on so much and then something hits to you and really resonates and will impact you in your life, and you really need to be open, I think, and honest with yourself. Like, that's hit home, I can't let it go, I need to speak with somebody. And there's no shame in doing that. I want to normalize that. Supervision is a really good part of good practice.
Now, a lot of people may not understand what supervision actually is. So clinical supervision is not having someone sit in your session with you, okay? So what happens is you would book a time with your clinical supervisor and you would come maybe with 3 basic clients that you want to talk through about how that went, and they're going to ask you questions around ethical questions. They're going to check in, how was that for you? So they're going to just sort of see your buoyancy levels and whether there's a blind spot maybe that you've missed. They might point that out through a series of questions. They might get you to self-actualize in that that reflection process. So, clinical supervision is not counseling. It's a good reflection practice. It's about going through one client at a time that maybe is quite the heavy sort of more triggering kind of client, and just journeying through that and having that person to bounce off. But it's not about the clinical supervisor telling you what you should be doing, but they may point out something that maybe you didn't notice, or something like that, which could be really beneficial to your emotional well-being. So, have a think about the kind of clinical supervisor you might go for, whether you're going to go to a psychologist or a counsellor who offers clinical supervision, or you go to an actual hypnotherapist that offers clinical supervision. So if you're dealing with a modality like hypnotherapy, I do find that going to a fellow hypnotherapist who understands what you're actually doing and how you're working more beneficial. But that's just me. That's my take on it.
Yeah. And I guess getting back to the niche as well, part of things is if you do hone into something that's very small, you can potentially limit your amount of clients that you're going to get and uptake. So that's something to be mindful of as well.
Yeah, we've got a client, a old student of mine, and he ended up going into irritable bowel syndrome. He specialises in that. But he's aligned himself with an association that is known for that. So he's created a network for himself that funnels clients to him, which is really great. So, there may be a network that you could plug into that's dealing with that niche, that lot of people, that society could actually bring people your way. So do think about that. It's a benefit.
And that's another good point that you bring up. Look in your community. So if you do have a niche, look in your community and look at if there's different other associations or something that perhaps you can connect with and network with, and you get your referrals.
Don't be alone in this journey. I think having connections with others is what keeps you alive. So it may be that you become a powerhouse and you connect to another person who's got a similar niche, and you work together like a team, So if it's weight loss, for example, you might come together with a nutritionalist and you're working together in tandem. That can be a really good, solid branding opportunity to create a course or create one-on-one intensives and stuff where there's the balanced view of that holistic journey, and having the right specialists as part of that journey, as part of that package. So definitely there's room. I was walking to the train station this morning, and something popped into my mind. It was a reflection moment, and you were in on this actually, Teresa. When I actually was going to talk at the summit, the Hypno Summit, I was thinking about what areas I was going to, I guess, specialise in. And one of them was burnout. And prior to that, I hadn't really put much thought into burnout, but I wanted to be a speaker. So I thought, right, how can I fit that into something I could specialise in? And thankfully, I had experienced burnout in my own life, and I'd actually dealt with clients that had burnouts. It wasn't something they didn't know about, but for that particular reason, I needed to stand out. So I got the speaking gig. And this is sometimes if you want to write a book, or you want to kind of have that platform as you build your practice, you may want to use that niche idea to springboard you into the public domain, and also fellow colleagues, for them to get to know that you're that specialist.
Yeah. It's thinking out of the square, looking at things, doing your research.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are sort of looking for a journey as a career shift, maybe you've been doing something that's like, and you've tuned into these Talk Time podcasts, and you're interested in training maybe to become a hypnotherapist, or maybe you're already a hypnotherapist and you just need some support to get out there and you need some mentoring, connect. go to the website nzaca.ac.nz and check out the things that we offer here. Teresa is just an asset to me.
Thanks, Meredith.
She's part of the school too, and she advises me in the background, and we tag team a lot of ideas and things. So if you were a student, you're going to get tremendous support from us, okay? We do have a new round coming up in the new year in February, so check out the website, see what we've got. There is also the help system coaching that I've launched as well, which is going to be quite exciting. So I've got a few things moving, a few things happening, and I'm writing a few books as well, so I'm just having to finish them off. It's that little wee fine-tuning. So watch this space. Yeah, watch this space. I've got that really long list of things to do. It keeps on getting longer. So look, please, if you liked this content and it's you haven't subscribed yet, please like and subscribe, because it would mean so much to us, because we want to build and shout out and celebrate hypnotherapy to the world. And that means that with your help, we can get there. And we're slowly building, it's like, how'd you put it? We did a little wee talk at this year's conference on our actual talk time and what we've been learning as we've been creating these things, the thumbnails and all of that stuff. And it's been a great growth journey, but I'm hoping that it also is a great resource for you. So if you are wanting to know, how do I start out? What are these things? I was looking through other YouTube things and they didn't really have a lot on this. So I thought, even though it's not the most fantastic topic in the world, it's actually one that I would want to know if I was starting out, or I was struggling with my career. I would want to kind of have this content. So I'm hoping that by producing this, it's hitting the spot for you guys out there. So please put in the comments if it's working for you. If you have any questions, feel free to do that. Anything else you would like to finish off with, Teresa?
And I guess if it doesn't resonate with you, but you know that there is somebody, a friend of yours or a colleague that sort of is interested in changing career or interested in hypnotherapy or their own well-being, then please do share this onto them and connect. And please don't be afraid. Comment what you want in the comment box. Hopefully it's positive news, but we're open to feedback as well, because we're learning. This is a learning journey for us too, with doing the podcast. So we want to get interactive and for our viewers to be able to connect with us, give us feedback, or tell us what they actually want to listen to, and we'll do our best to deliver that to you.
Absolutely. So look, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Teresa, for joining me today.
Thank you.
And tune in next week for another Talk Time series. And we're going to be going right through Christmas, so keep tuning in, and we will turn up. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye everyone. Till next week.